Welcome to The New Creatives. I'm Austin.
And I'm Jordan.
This show is about the people who are finding and using new ways to express themselves creatively.
We want you to meet Aisha.
My name is Aisha Fukushima, and I'm a singer, a speaker, as well as a rap-tivist, or a rap activist. I was born in Seattle, Washington, but it's kind of tricky because I also grew up, I spent the early part of my childhood between Seattle and Yokohama, Japan.
What's up?
Oh, it's good to see you.
What happened?
Thank you so much for helping.
Don't try to be, just be. Inhale, exhale, breathe.
My mom and I were also one of the very few people of color in our neighborhood. And at that time, that was also surprisingly controversial, even though I'm still pretty young. You know, I'd have to figure out ways to kind of get around a lot of these different issues. And when I would speak out to my classmates and just try to engage in conversation, it would turn into a vitriolic debate right away. You don't know what you're talking about. You're being too sensitive. Be quiet. I'm just being cool, whatever, right? And somehow we were talking at each other and not with each other. And my teacher had this thing twice a week called RFTS, Reading from the Silence. And so they would turn down the lights and light candles, and then we would all have a chance to read anything that we'd written. The homework assignment was write for 30 minutes. It doesn't matter what, just write, and you can read it aloud if you feel like it. And so I would write poems, and I would write raps, and I would write words about what I was going through and what was happening in our local community. And I remember kind of my heart palpitating and reading a poem aloud. It was called Turn Off the Stereotypes. Turn off the stereotypes. Assign me a category and I'll give you a category. Let justice roll forth like a
Mighty stream, a true individual is one that dares to dream.
What are you looking for in the mirror when the
Deepest part of you lies within a beauty that does not stop at the skin.
what race are you a part of? Because I'm racing with my dreams.
Every day I wake up to an inner passion that screams.
These words started to pour out of me, and I remember the whole class at the end of the poem just, oh my gosh, I didn't know you felt that way. And somehow they could relate in a way that we couldn't hear each other. They weren't hearing me when we were just trying to have conversation, even though I think there was a lot of love and respect there, regardless of all the, isms that existed.
Right.
It allowed them to see my humanity and allowed us to connect. And so I saw art as that venue, that catalyst to have people connect and to start to work together to create a more compassionate environment, more peaceful environment for one another.
Coming at you live, Seattle, Copenhagen, 2009. It's gonna be epic right here. Fresh, the key is, this is raptivism. Raptivism, we rap our vision. Bringing politics back to rap. Actions missing. Raptivism, we rap our vision. Bringing politics back to rap. Actions missing.
I started community organizing when I was 15 or 16, doing a project called Turn Off the Stereotypes. I didn't know what a grant was. I figured out how to get a grant from the city to pay activist artists of different generations to come and get young people as well to participate. And some of my teachers came. I didn't expect that. They just showed up. That evolved into raptivism. We just arrived in Nepal. Woohoo! Kathmandu. How y'all feeling?
Well, it was a call I got at 5:30 in the morning from one of my closest friends, Dane, the drummer. He's like, you gotta get back to me right away. There's this really cool thing happening. We're going to Nepal, you got your passport, and it's with Aisha. And I said, yes, yes, yes. We were going around to schools. We got to show them through music that they can sing songs, break dance, play music, come up with their own poetry. And we had 2 women in the band, so we were showing even young girls who might not have had that kind of power that you can have a voice.
Aisha Fukushima and the band.
For me, hip hop is this common consciousness that says, I want to think and use my intelligence to challenge apathy with awareness, to challenge oppression with expression, and ignorance with intelligence. Everyone has something to bring to the table, and we're all sharing in a cipher, and everyone has ideas and brilliance to add to whatever we're creating, whether that be a musical project like a song, or if we're doing a workshop together and we're doing some sort of educational piece, or if we're doing a live concert. Most recently, I think about Nepal, for instance, and there was a woman there who she insisted, come I want to give you a drink, and you come just sit, and I want to get you some soda and just hang out. And then she ran up the stairs to her home, and as she ran up the stairs, I saw that the building, it was like a dollhouse, and that half of the building had fallen down from the earthquake. And you could see her run up the stairs of our home to get the soda and then bring it back downstairs. Everyone said, we rely on each other. We have to work together. If I've got a little bit of this, I'm gonna share it with you and vice versa, and that's how we're gonna make it through. This selfishness or this, we're individuals, we don't need each other kind of thing, that's not gonna work when we're in such a dire strait, and that's also just our way of life. This project was birthed in Oakland, and it's going to be released in the same studio where it was recorded. Usually I tend to have a little bit larger of a show setting, but I really want this to feel like a family.
You mentioned an interesting word. You said cipher, and you've said it a couple times, and that is the name of your most recent EP.
Yes.
I want you to tell us about this word. Why did you choose that name?
It's actually a space. For me, it's a liberatory space, and it's a space where we give and exchange energy. In hip hop, we see cipher in the form of people maybe standing in a circle and getting down with some breakdancing moves. We might see people come together as storytellers or MCs. I say storytellers because it even comes from that West African tradition of griot storytelling, right? It goes back in history. It's this connectivity point where we're seeing and hearing each other on a more profound level. I've invited a very limited and unique group of folks to come through, some of which have a lot of creative experience, professionally and otherwise, and some folks who might be totally new to the creative process. And I want to invite them into the cipher somehow.
Let me bring it down a little bit. I want to invite you all up. What are some of those words that came to mind for you? I want you to speak them into existence on this microphone right now. Please be courageous.
First one I had was Aisha. Let's have 3 words: dance, prayer, and ritual.
Say that one more time.
Dance, prayer, and ritual.
Dance,
Prayer, and ritual.
just let yourself be free, girl.
La zona cero me pongo la lucha, sigo yo enfrento en el final, un principio, un receso en el centro y estando dentro de un sueño, vuelvo y despierto y doy con prisa, paso en la vida se desliza, si soy la sombra de la luz que me ilumina de una forma cristalina, de manera repentina, vine a dar un alma pura en forma única, sin censura, mostrando el lado negro de nuestra cultura.
Community is love, community is hip hop. Community is you, community is me. It's Cam's choice. Aisha Fukushima, KEP, and Ryu Nicole. Community is in our soul.
Sometimes solidarity can feel like it's just up here, like, I get it, we're working together, it's a thing. But when you actually do it, and especially with music, it's such an intimate, such like a closely tied experience, then it becomes very palpable, and it manifests also outside of the studio, in addition to being that moment on stage and that moment in front of the microphone.
We were feeling it.
Yay, thank you for sharing in it and enjoying. When you do it in action and in sound, then all of a sudden it empowers you the next time to stand up and do that. So that might be at the bus stop if someone's getting bullied or whatever. Maybe you feel a little bit more empowered to speak out because now you've felt the power of your community, and you felt the power of your voice.
Yeah.
And if you haven't practiced it and just keep thinking, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I think we start to cultivate that experience of that activism, that raptivism, and that cipher in everyday life.
It could be very easy to say that community is just your neighborhood, it's where you live. But Aisha is taking her message everywhere. Her community is in Oakland, but it's also in Senegal and half a dozen other places. Her community is everyone everywhere.
So our challenge for you this week is to do what Aisha suggested. Write or draw something. Create a depiction of the world you want to live in.
All of our efforts to make this world a better place have to start with a vision of what that better place looks like. So find a way to express it.
And then, of course, as always, share it with us with the hashtag TNCMyVision.
The whole point of this show is creative inspiration that runs both directions.
So don't just watch stuff, make stuff.